Okay, friends, so now we've seen a number of ways to take data and present it for consumption. Some of them are graphs. We looked at pie charts, bar graphs, line graphs. All these are great. There's many other kinds. We've seen scatter plots in the past, and if you take later stat classes, you'll see even more. But graphs aren't always the best way to look at data. Sometimes it's better just to look at tables, and sometimes it's better not even to look at tables, but look at individual data points, which is kind of what we're going to get into today. We're taking a more close look at individual points, because sometimes individual points can get lost in a forest of information. And the phrase we left with last time was margin of error. This is one of the more important ideas when you're looking at individual data points, is to make sure that they contain the proper margin of error. But before we go any further, on your homework, the first question I'm going to ask you is, what is your first thought when you hear the phrase margin of error? So scratch that down now, whether you're typing it into a document, whether you're writing it on a piece of paper, whether you're committing it to memory, whatever. What is your first thought that you think of when you hear margin of error? What does that phrase mean to you? What does it imply to you? And if you have no idea what it means right now, scratch that down. I don't know what a margin of error means right now. That's why I'm taking Math 105, Sean, because I want to know these things. So just take a few minutes right now, pause the video, and write down what margin of error means to you, if anything. Okay, so now let's look at where margin of error should show up. So what I want you to do first is I'd love for you to find this article online. Gallup is a polling agency. They've been around for 100 years or so. And the most recent obesity study they did was in 2016. It's got more recent data we'll look at later. But this one in particular is one I like to refer back to. So you find this one online. Take a few moments right now. Okay, so what you see when you first take a quick look at this graphic, and we're going to go to the actual website here momentarily, is you see a line graph. You've got 2008, 2009. They've been tracking obesity of someone who, oh yes, U.S. adults. Okay, got it. So they've been tracking U.S. adult obesity from 2008 to 2015. Fantastic. So 2008, 2009, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14. I got that. One thing that jumps out at me, if you notice this line is kind of trending upward left to right from here to here. Okay, trending upward. And they want you to realize that, especially when they say U.S. obesity rate climbs to record high in 2015. So in 2015, this 28% is a record high from, well, it's a record high from 2014 and every year before it, according to this graphic. A few things that jump out at me. Some of which we're going to talk about right now, some of which we're going to talk about later. First thing, U.S. adults. So we're not talking about the entire population, just U.S. adults, 18 and older. When I hear the word obesity, I want to know how they're measuring it. How are they measuring obesity? So what they've done is they've used a measure called BMI, which is body mass index. In your homework, I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of research into body mass index so you know what that means. But let's just let them have that for now. Let's not question the measure. I often will question the measure when studies are done, but let's not question that right now. I'm going to have you question it later when you do the homework. So there's some kind of a measure, and if the measure is above 30, that means you're obese. Okay. U.S. adults, good so far. Based on self-reported height and weight. I am going to pick apart this one right now. Self-reported height and weight means they contacted someone and then asked them, how much do you weigh and how tall are you? And then that person told them how much they weighed and how tall they were. The problem is, it's not a measurement. It's a report from someone. And there are numerous studies, and I encourage you to look these up, that show that people aren't always accurate when they give their own height and their own weight. Many people don't know, even within 5, 10, 15 pounds or 1 or 2 inches, how tall they are or how much they weigh. So you got to be careful when you're doing self-reported height and weight. But let's also ignore the self-reported part for now. I just wanted to mention that to you now. We'll come back to that later. What I want to know is, who did they talk to? Who were these people that gave these self-reported heights and weights? Did they ask every U.S. adult or not? So in the next video, let's explore that.